Hello folks, it is time for a Tuesday set of Hobby Nightmares. If you like what I do, then please like the video. It does huge things for our channel in pushing us forward to the new people and getting the YouTube gods to look down on us and smile and put our videos out there for other people to see. So like the video, even if you don't subscribe today, just like the video. It's a one click and it really does help me out. Thank you very much. This is a more chill set of Hobby Nightmares, as I'm just back in from doing my lessons, just back in from doing a bit of marking too, and I want to chill out over my lunch break and read some Hobby Nightmares. So I figured, why can't I have my people join me, you know? All of you guys join me, and let's read one or two Hobby Nightmares, shall we? With Track, who says, "Hi North, Track here. I'm sorry if this isn't written well. I'm trying my best to find the words to put this story out there. Also, I'm not trying to whine, just sharing my story. I will just jump into the point now. Alright, fair enough. I am weird. Okay. When I was little, I was very hyperactive and impulsive. So much so that I had serious trouble making friends. For example, parents of other kids who were not family friends wouldn't want me around their kids because of how I acted. Okay. This made me feel really isolated from my peers. When I was 6 years old, my school had my parents take me to a specialist who had me tested positive for ADHD. While I don't know if my ADHD is really the root cause of all my behavioural problems, it certainly didn't help. I was put on pills at this early stage, Concerta was its name, which was supposed to make me calm and more focused. All it did was take all of my energy from me to the point I didn't want to talk, and it gave me killer migraines. It also caused me to develop tics, which made me feel even more weird. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. You know, I will say like medication should be a last resort, a last resort, and it should be for something that several doctors have already diagnosed, separate doctors. I've recently gone through this with my daughter as well. You know, she has medication for a certain thing. I'm not gonna, talk about on here. But, we got that confirmed by four different doctors who weren't connected to each other. One of whom was not even in the UK, it was a US doctor, and they all diagnosed the same thing, recommended the same thing. So that's when you say, okay, if it's going to help, and this is what it's going to do, and there's going to be none of these side effects are going to be happening, fine, we'll go with it, we'll go with medication. But aside from that, you need to be very, very, very careful about giving such medication to people who aren't of age. Very careful. I'm from the States and ended up moving from New England to the Midwestern USA. Shortly after my parents divorced, it was hard on my sister and I at the time, but I'm more happy to have 2 Christmases than adding a dysfunctional household on top of my list of stuff. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. Your parents split up, but you get 2 Christmases, I guess. Also, my compulsive tendencies seem to have been getting worse as my sister told our parents that she would rather stay at one parent's house whilst I was at the other's. Essentially, out of her life. I learned this information from my dad, who was trying to tell me to be more normal. Yeah, because that's going to work. It was at this stage of my life, around 9, that my uncle showed me the old Adam West Batman movies and Superman Doomsday, whilst I was staying at his home in California. I was, and still am, in love with these characters, and I found a place of comfort in them. I also started to watch The Big Bang Theory with my dad at night, and this started my descent into nerddom. Okay. Through Big Bang, it freaks me out that you're an adult and you started watching Big Bang Theory when you were a kid. When did that show start? Because if you're too young, I'm going to stop recording this. I'm gonna email you a terse email as well. Big Bang Theory TV show. It started in 2007. Okay, yes, you are of age. Okay, if you were 9 in 2007, yeah, you are of age. That's fine. That is fine. You're like in your 20s. That's cool. Through Big Bang, I heard about an odd game called Dungeons and Dragons. I looked up videos of it on YouTube and became infatuated with the concept of being a whole different person, not even a human if I didn't want to be. It was the perfect opportunity for little me to feel normal. My dad must have seen me watching these videos and the Google searches on his computer, because for Christmas that year, I got 3 core rulebooks for 5th edition D&D. After pondering through the books, I finally went down to the local game store, which was a gaming cafe. I was around 12 at this time. The first session, my dad stayed with me while the game was at my table. It was Adventure League games, helped me make a character. In case you forgot, I still had terrible social skills, and I was off of the ADHD meds at the time. What followed was a 12-year-old interrupting the flow of the game to do something stupid, like try and fight somebody and not paying attention to what was happening. I don't have an excuse for this, to be honest. I was just kind of dumb. No, you weren't, mate. You were a kid. Again, one thing I really do find with certain people who write stuff in, they're really hard on themselves. They're like, oh, what a ridiculous person I am. No, you're not. You're 12. You're 12. Of course you're a ridiculous person. Everybody under the age of 21 is ridiculous. I'm sorry, you are. Okay? I was. Until my mid-20s, I was ridiculous. At least. Finally, the group had had enough, and I was promptly ignored. I had to sit there and watch as others had fun and pretended that I wasn't there. I then felt defeated and gave up on the biggest source of joy that I had. I began to spiral into a very dark place. I had probably saved up hundreds of dollars in allowance for the D&D books, and now had no use for them, because nobody wanted to play with me. This is when I discovered Warhammer. I was around 15 by now. You skate over that, dude, but that's 3 years of, like, loneliness. You're in your 20s now, you need to go to therapy, dude. You need to sort something out, because those lonely years, they're enough to screw with you. Alright? There is damage done to you when you were a kid that you never unpick. You know? It's why me going through the process with my daughter now, I'm very, very aware of, you know, situations going on around her and how to shield her from all of that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway. My dad brought me to another game store that was about an hour away from our house for my birthday and told me to pick anything that I wanted. God, what a good guy. Whilst I was walking to the D&D section of the store, I passed the starters set for Age of Sigmar and the Nighthorns and Stormcast Eternals, all of which are useless now, I guess. Lol. Yeah, I know. For those of you who don't know, they nuked the entire range of Stormcast Eternals to replace it with new models, several years after bringing them out. Disgraceful. I made my dad cough up the money, and off I went with my perfectly healthy plastic addiction. My new issue was that I had no one to play with, which caused me to jump into 40k Death Guard. I was 16 at this point, and my life felt better. I was off my meds for good, in a new city living with my dad, and I even had a hot yet kind of, you know, freaky girlfriend. She's a story for another day. I was also finding a place for myself in my 40k group. Dude, you're now a well-adjusted young man. Everybody needs a psycho. you need that woman to come into your life and turn her upside down, just so you know what bad looks like. You're like, okay, if anything resembles this, walk away. But as long as you learn those lessons, of course, you don't repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. But as things rose, they also fell. I began getting a reputation in my gaming group for being a sore loser, which made it really hard for me to find games. Then, on Halloween 2022, I had probably one of the worst nights of my life. I got a text from my now ex-girlfriend's cousin saying that she was cheating on me with an attached picture of her cuddling another guy on the couch. I began to walk around, shocked, with my friends all trying to help me, when a crazy man who was on something at the time came up randomly and hit me. Oh my god. You're just having the worst day. Oh no. I was in shock and just broke down while my friends contacted the police. Yeah, man, you're just done. You're broken now. My dad came to pick me up, and while I was rattled, I was not hurt. When my dad was able to confirm this, he began to chew my ear out for not taking out the trash that morning. What? What are you talking about? Oh, right, when he figured out you weren't hurt. That night, I remember laying in bed thinking about all the bad things in my past, and that led to darker thoughts. We all know the kind of thoughts we're talking about. I then looked around my room to see if I still had any meds left over, because if I did decide to do the unspeakable, that would be my method. Instead, I caught sight of my favourite book series that I hadn't finished yet, and decided that I had to know how it ended first. As I was only 2 books in out of 8, it gave me enough time to think about my life and figure out some things. By the time I finished the series, I had found my talent and passion for history, been accepted to the best teaching college in the Western United States, began working out, started playing Warhammer again, I worked out being a sore loser, and even got a beautiful and loyal girlfriend. Another factor that helped me was your Silence the Noise video, which came out when I needed it most. I don't think I was actually going to do away with myself, but the fact I thought about it makes me quite emotional. I have never shared that fact about my life with anybody up until now. I think it's also worth mentioning that I am a student mentor at my school, and I'm given the opportunity to help struggling students, like you did for me. Until next time, North, cheers, as they say in the land of tea. Well, congratulations. I want to know what that book series was. Email me back. I want to know what the book series was. But in terms of your journey, man, well done. Like, you did that all yourself. And people do this all of the time, right? They give me credit, right? They go, you did this and you did... I didn't... Listen. I'm some wastrel, some fucking retard on YouTube. That's me. That's who I am, okay? I've got a microphone and I talk shit. I'm an ignorant, stupid mark for you wrestling fans out there. That's who I am, right? You did this. I didn't do it. You did it. You did it. You picked yourself up. You decided you weren't going to do away with yourself. You decided you were going to turn your life around. You decided to start putting the building blocks in place. And you did. Right? You figured out what you wanted to do. You loved history. You want to teach it. Good. You found a school. You applied to it and you got in. Good. You started working out. Good. You started realizing what hobbies that you had were actually positive influences in your life, and you focused on them. Warhammer. Good. You then got yourself a girlfriend. Good. Dude, you did all that yourself. Watching my videos didn't give you those things. I may have had like a 0.1% influence on your decision making. That was all you. You guys need to give yourselves a bit more credit. I appreciate it, and please keep telling me this, because it's lovely for my ego. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But I didn't do this, you did. Alright? It's all you. It's all you. Marky Mark said, I just mentioned Mark, there you go. Marky Mark says, Alrighty North, it is time for me to dive into my own delectable feast of nightmarish medley. I wanted to write this as we are experiencing a heatwave where I am, so I am currently sitting beside several fans and trying not to melt. This is about a stolen army. My stolen army. I'm a tournament gamer, and I've been known in my local area as a fair match. I always try to make sure my opponent has a good time, and I honestly love that aspect of the game. I really do look at this game as a collaborative experience rather than something that is adversarial, you know? Yeah, I do. I agree. Things in life were pretty sweet around the time of this nightmare. My job was going well. I won't go into it, but it is government related, and I love my job. And I was with a girlfriend I'd been with for about 4 years now. Let's call her Jess. At the beginning of our relationship, Jess pretty much tolerated my hobby, which I know will set off alarm bells already. The thing is, I know in this nightmare business it is easy to say to hobby bros, dude, why did you stay with her then? When you hear about people taking the piss. But some of us honestly do not feel like we will get a better deal anywhere else. What I mean by that is, we have never really had girlfriends before, and so when we get one, we do not know what the norms of a positive relationship are, and we don't feel worthy enough to just leave and try and find a new one. We think we are lucky to get this one, never mind getting another one. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that, yeah. I completely get that. Dude, I mean, I've been there. I've dated women in the past who would be considered by other dudes 10s, right? Like, you know, I've had friends say to me, dude, how did you do that? Like, she's gorgeous, like, you know, this and that and the other. And the thing is, I've dated quite a lot of them who are really toxic towards me, but they were really good at turning it on in front of other people. So they seemed really sweet and nice and, you know. It's normally my mother who unmasks them. Like, who's like, yeah, son, I see through that, she's a bitch. right? That kind of thing. Because older women do. Older women can sense a bitch through a smile at 1,000 paces. Do you know what I mean? A woman can smile at another woman, and they'll go, and the older woman will go, "What a bitch," because she'll know. She just knows. Little behavioural ticks, you know. It never got to the point where I would split up with somebody because my mum was just like, "No, that person's toxic," but it was always a big red flag. If my mum said, because she was really open, like she wasn't protective of me at all. She was the opposite. She was like, "Dude, go out and sow your wild oats, my friend. Off you go. You know what I mean? Have fun." You know? So she was always really accepting of any woman that I brought home until they gave her a reason not to be, you know? And there were some times when I didn't see something and she would see it and say, "Listen, that wasn't cool. What just happened there? That wasn't cool. That needs checking. You know, be careful." So yeah, it's everybody struggles with finding the right one, okay? And you shouldn't be blamed for not having experience, because I've done it before, right? I've not broken up with a woman because she's been really hot, and I've thought, well, I'm lucky to have her. Well, there's a reason I'm lucky to have her. There's a reason why she's, you know, there's a reason why she's not with a Henry Cavill, or a guy who looks like that with a good job, with an amazing job, right? There's a reason she's with an average-looking guy like me in an average job. Do you know what I mean? When she should be in a mansion somewhere. There's a reason. Those men don't want her, and they don't have to put up with her. So they don't. Do you know what I mean? So they don't. So they go, "Yeah, nah, not for me, see ya." You know? It's one of the problems that I have when you hear women say, "Where are all the good men at?" Listen, I'm going to tell you a really unkind truth here, to be kind. Okay? Those men, good men, are out there. Good-looking men with good jobs are out there. Do you know what's wrong? They don't want you. That's the truth. They may want you for a night. You know? Maybe. If you're good. But most of them, nah. Why should they settle? Why should they be with you? Why? Do you know what I mean? It's just what it is. Jess, I know now, was not a good partner or a good person. She would lambast my hobbies in a joking fashion in front of her friends and things like that, and every time I gave her any sort of pushback by throwing a joke back at her in a jovial way, she'd act offended and tell me she was just joking, which implied that what I had said went too far. I do that. I hate that. I think anyone who's seen my videos before will know how much I fucking hate that. When you've got a bully who says something to you that's really nasty, and you say something back that is nowhere near as bad as what they said, and they go, "Oh," and then they go, "I was only joking, God, calm down," right? I fucking hate that. That's cowardly. That's cowardly. There's one thing that'll make me lose it with a guy and just slap him right in his face. That's doing that. Don't do that shit. I will lose it. Like, it is a ridiculous thing to do to somebody else. "Oh, I'm only joking." Go fuck yourself, dude. If I don't know you, never met you before, I will just tell you to go fuck yourself and walk away. Do you know what I mean? But if you're a friend of mine, you'll get a stern talking to for that. Like, dude, don't do that. Don't be a little bitch, right? You threw something at me. I took it as a joke. I threw something at you as a joke, which was a lot more tame than what you threw at me, right? People in glass houses, mate. Get a fucking grip. Do you know what I mean? It could be something as stupid as her taking the piss out of my models, and then I lightly take the piss out of her watching soaps on TV, albeit in a much less aggressive manner than her insults were, and she would still play the victim. I was made to pay for almost everything we did, despite her earning more money than me for the most part, and I just accepted this as the status quo. I had to drop all plans I had for me to spend time with her, blowing off plans with friends, to game and do other things, because she would throw an absolute tantrum and make my night a misery if I didn't either include her in what I was doing or drop everything to be with her, and I considered this as completely normal. This went on for 4 years that I thought were, again, completely normal. My friends were the ones to open my eyes, especially Steve, who had met a girl and had been with her for about a year now. He invited me out with him and his girl, whilst mine was away with a work trip. Seeing them so happy in each other's company, and seeing her so supportive of his hobby in 40k, honestly cut me to the core, and Steve could tell. Eventually, his girl left us alone and went out with her friends so we could have a man-to-man, and he told me that this was what an actually supportive and healthy relationship looked like. He also warned me that his girlfriend had a lot of girlfriends, you know, friends who are girls, and my girlfriend was friends with mostly lads, which is an issue. I'll let you explain why. Okay, why? Why is it an issue? I know I've said it before. A big red flag to me, and most of you guys will already know, if I'm with a girl and she says, most of my friends are lads, because all women are just too much hassle, too much drama. Am I right? Huh? Am I right? No, you're not. No. No, you're not. I know plenty of cool women, dude. Like, you're not right. No. The common denominator there, my love, is you. Why do other women not want you around? That's what I want to know. That's a red flag. Because as I say, women can sense a bitch from 1,000 paces away. Especially older ones. If you meet a girl and she says she's friends with mostly dudes, okay? Even if she's a nerd, there's no excuse. If she's friends with mostly dudes and has hardly any girlfriends, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. Big red flag. Why do other women not want to hang out with her? Why do other women not want her around their boyfriends? There's a common denominator there. If this person has upset a lot of people of their own sex, maybe you should steer clear. I treat that person in the same way as a man who says most of my friends are girls, because I'm an ally, right? It's creepy, right? It's creepy. What do you mean? What do you mean other men don't like you? Why don't other men like you? Why? There's one common denominator there. If more than 5 dudes have said this guy sucks, that guy probably sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Right? If people who have no interest in sleeping with you think you suck, then you probably do. You probably do. That's why it's a red flag if a girl doesn't have any girlfriends, to me. It's a big red flag. Again, there are exceptions to the rule. People who are brought up as tomboys or whatever, or people who are trans, or people who are... I don't know. There are exceptions, but for the most part, if you meet a woman and she says something like, most of my friends are men, you know, and we hang out with each other, we go to the game. One, she's probably slept with most of them. I'm not going to lie. She probably has. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You know, she probably has. At least 1 or 2 have been in there before you. Okay? It's a big red flag to me. And you can tell me I'm unfair all you want. I'm not. And maybe I am, but fuck it. It's my life. I don't want them around. Because every time I've been with somebody like that, they've always been trouble. Okay? I've worked in bars, I've worked in the hobby. So I've come across a lot of rock chicks like this. And a lot of nerds like this. Female nerds, female rock chicks. They all say, oh, I'm friends with dudes because they're less drama. No, they're not. No, they're not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Alright? Why do other women not want you around? Is what I want to know. And every single time I've dated one of those women, they've turned out to wreck my brain or do something ridiculous. You know? Anyway, I took it to heart, but didn't act on it until Steve's engagement party. Alright, so he's shown you what a good relationship looks like and advised you this is what it looks like, and you took that to heart. Fair enough. So I took it to heart, but didn't act on this until Steve's engagement party that was happening in a few weeks. Jess didn't really know Steve that well, and so didn't want to go. She wanted to stay in and watch a movie or something, but I wanted to go. No dice. She threw an instant wobbler. A tantrum. I mean screaming fits about how I always choose my friends first, and I never do. I just snapped. I told her I was leaving, and she could stay in the flat as it was in my name, but I wanted her gone within a month. Her demeanour instantly changed, and she started to wail that she was afraid of losing me. but she became a different person in this moment. This only freaked me out more, and I left with my laptop, a change of clothes, and not much else. Dude, if T can switch a personality like that, that's freaky. Yeah, get out of there. Get out of there. We didn't really speak for a month, aside from her trying to get back with me, but I called the police and let them know the situation, and that I'd be going back in a month to kick her out if she was not already gone, as it was my apartment. They informed me that I had no legal right to do that, despite it being my apartment. Squatters' rights and all that, those laws are absolute bullshit. They are. They are, yeah. If somebody's in your house and they won't leave, you don't really have a lot of recourse to get rid of them in the UK. So I just had to pray she'd fuck off on her own, and luckily, for me, after a few weeks, I was informed by a neighbour that she had indeed left the premises. I went back to the apartment and took a look around. The TV and PS5 were gone. No biggie, easily replaceable, and she used them most of the time anyway. They were joint purchases, so if that was the cost of doing business, I was fine with that. Then I went upstairs to my hobby room. Empty. 8,000 points of Black Templar successes. I know it doesn't work that way in the law, but I like cream/bone colours, and I love Black Templars. They were all gone. I text her demanding to know where they were, only for her to respond, and I quote, "Oh, now you want to talk to me. Fuck off," unquote. She then blocked my number. I went around to the house and I went around the apartment and found the back door unlocked, and when I told Steve that this was maybe a robbery and a coincidence after she had left the back door open by accident, Steve told me that Jess was a twat and the back door was her alibi with the police if I reported a theft, which I did. They contacted her and of course found nothing. Of course. Case closed for them. I went to the engagement party and Steve showed me a PayPal transaction in the kitchen whilst it was quiet. He and his missus had put in my account £500 to kickstart rebuilding my new forces. I was absolutely floored. They were doing well for themselves, but they didn't really need to do this. I had one of the best nights of my life at that party, and I even hooked up with one of the bride's friends. Just a drunken kissing and fondling session, after which we were both really awkward when sober, so it never went anywhere, but still, a confidence booster. You're thinking in the right way, my man. You're thinking in the right way. And what a guy. Before I move on, what a guy. You know? He sees you're in the shit. He sees things aren't going very well. So he goes, you know what, man? Here's a helping hand. Whack. 500 quid. There's a new army for you. I don't mean money solves all problems. It doesn't. But my God, did this guy step up to the plate, right? In more ways than one. Such guys are out there, dudes. In fact, I would say most good friends who are blokes are like this. They'll give you the fucking shit off the back. They really will. It was only several weeks later that I was playing with my new Primaris cream-coloured Black Templars in my local tournament for me to spy on the other side of the room cream Black Templars. My cream Black Templars. I headed over and introduced myself to the guy who was playing them, and he was very nice and very jovial before pulling him aside and telling him the full story during a big break in play. He was shocked and was scared that I wanted my army back, but I didn't, and told him I wouldn't kick up a fuss if he gave over the info of the account that sold him that army. He did without question, and it was, of course, a burner account, but I was able to take it to the police and told them that I had found my stolen property without them, and that it had been sold to an unsuspecting fellow who was to be left alone. They told me they'd look into the info that I gave them, and that they were treating it a lot more seriously now that they had a clear evidence of wrongdoing. That was a week ago. I'll keep you up to date, but fuck, this was crazy. I'm doing well, and I'm loving the fresh start losing the army gave me, if I'm honest. Like a clean slate, I know. Weird. Cheers, Marky Mark. Cheers, dude. Yeah, keep me up to date. I want to know what happens there. That is freaky that you came up with, you saw your own army across the room. I think we had a similar Hobby Night mail years ago, from a girl who lost her army, right? Who got her army taken away from her from like an ex or something, I think. And that That was awesome. And she ended up, I think she ended up getting them, or I can't remember what happened. I'll have to go and watch it again. It's from a few years ago now anyway. But she found like her own army being played by her ex, I think it was, who stole it. Yeah. Anyway, this one, absolutely, I think she absolutely stole it, dude. And she put it on eBay or something and got her money back. And she's off there somewhere doing a grift on somebody else, probably. Dude, I tell you what, it's the cost of... You mentioned a thing here, the cost of doing business. Yeah, treat it as that. Learn your lessons. That was the cost of doing business. You learnt your lessons. You won't do those things again. You won't let people in who are going to take advantage of you and be assholes around you, right? You learn your lessons. The true bad things in life only occur, they will occur to you once, right? In terms of other people. The true worst things that other people can do to you will happen once. Then you've got it in your power to go, yeah, that's not happening again. I'm an adult, that's not happening again. Sorry. Right? It's within your power, and good on you, Mark, for taking that power and going, yeah, you know what? No, I'm not doing this again, and I've learnt my lesson, and losing my property was the cost of doing business. Now, you shouldn't lose your property, you should chase it up, you should make sure this person's held accountable, but don't mourn the loss of your stuff. You know? Mourn the loss of justice, not the loss of your stuff. This person deserves to have justice, this person deserves to, you know, have somebody hold them to account for what they did. That's true. But don't mourn your stuff. It's stuff, at the end of the day. It's the cost of doing business. I love that. Really good way of saying it. Anyway, I love you a long time. I will speak to you tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye now.